am reporting in from Detroit, Michigan on October 18th, 2008 at the beautiful Detroit River waterfront right here, as you can see. And with me is Bob Goldsmith from Detroit Tour Connections, who's been providing a wonderful architectural tour to me, and there's a lot of architecture to see right from this spot. Let's start on the left here. What is this?
Sure. That's called Cobo Arena, and it's from 1960. I think you can see the people mover going around it right now.
That's right.
And the Detroit Pistons used to play there in basketball, and they've also had concerts there. In fact, there's a very famous album by Bob Seger called Live Bullet that was recorded there in 1976.
Really?
So that, again, is Cobo Arena, named for a former mayor of Detroit, and it's part of our Civic Centre area.
Okay. And the white building?
That is the Veterans Building, or I should say that it was the Veterans Building, and now it's a UAW Ford training facility. But it's a nice marble building from 1950 that was really the first building that was part of the Civic Center area. So after World War II is when we decided to make our Civic Center area right where Detroit was founded, at the river, specifically at Jefferson Avenue and Woodward Avenue.
Okay. Now moving on to this area, what buildings do we have here?
Well, we saw the Pontchartrain Hotel, that was its historic name, and now I think the Detroit Riverside Hotel is what it goes by.
Is that the black one on the left, the tall one?
Okay. The closest one to the Convention Center, because near Cobo Arena we have Cobo Convention Center. It's also neat because whichever room you're at, you get a view looking toward the river as well as a view looking into the city. And if it just had flat sides, you really couldn't get so good of a view. So the way you can sort of step in between those windows and sort of look one way and the other way. Then we have, with the 4 flags on top, that one just goes by its address, which is 150 West Jefferson. Just a little bit on the west side of Woodward. Woodward divides our city into the east side and the west side. And that's one of our more modern skyscrapers. It's from the late 1980s, and it's just an office building, but a very nice one. In the background, behind it, are some of our older skyscrapers along Griswold Street, including the Buell Building with all the nice arches at the top. And then behind that, even taller, is the Penobscot Building. And you can see many of the setbacks at the top of the Penobscot Building, and plus the big tall tower. And at night, there's a big red ball that flashes on and off on top of that tower. Then, behind the fountain, we've got a building that's by Minoru Yamasaki. And that's a 1960s skyscraper of about 32 stories, and it was built for one of our utility companies, Michigan Consolidated Gas Company. So it used to be called the Mishcon Building. Now it goes by its address of 1 Woodward Avenue, but Yamasaki in the 1970s designed the World Trade Center in New York.
Is he also the guy of the fountain here?
No, the fountain was Isamu Noguchi.
Different Japanese guy.
Yes, exactly. And this is called Dodge Fountain. It carries sort of an automotive name. If you drive a Dodge Neon or Dodge Viper, this is the same Dodge family. There were 2 Dodge brothers, and they both passed away real young, and the widow of Horace Dodge, when she passed away, left $2 million to the city for this fountain.
Good, excellent. And the lovely neo-Gothic structure here.
That's called Comerica Tower. It's our second tallest building behind the central tower of the Renaissance Center, and it's from 1990 or 1992 by, Philip Johnson and John Berge, who are famous skyscraper architects all through, I think, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then we have in front of Comerica Tower, and that's on Jefferson, right at the corner with Woodward Avenue. That's called the Coleman Young Municipal Center, and it's 2 buildings, and the taller one is for Wayne County, and that's really the courthouse. And then the shorter building is still 14 stories tall, and that's really the City of Detroit's headquarters. So really, we could call it City Hall, or what it had been called for a long time was the City County Building, and we have a sculpture there called the Spirit of Detroit that we'll see a little bit later. And again, that's now called the Coleman Young Center. He was Detroit's first black mayor and and he had 20 years in office, I think 5 terms in office as our mayor, so we renamed the city-county building in his honor.
Okay, what is this kind of light-colored marble structure here?
That's called Ford Auditorium, and it was built in 1955, the same year as the city-county building was built, and the Detroit Symphony Orchestra played there for some time, but it hasn't been in use for a few years, so we'll see what happens with it. Okay,
so it's not used now, and of course in the back here, the famous Renaissance Center.
Right, and the story with the Renaissance Center is the central tower and the 4 surrounding towers are Detroit's tallest building and our 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th tallest. So we really don't think of it as 5 of our 7 tallest buildings. We tend to think of it as one building.
Right.
The central tower where it says GM, that's actually the Marriott Hotel. And when it was built, 1977, it was the tallest hotel in the world, had a restaurant at the top that revolved around. So you could, at the start of your dinner, be looking across the river at Canada, and by the end of your dinner, be looking the other way and seeing all of Detroit. General Motors bought the complex, and they're mostly in the 4 surrounding towers, with the Marriott being in the central tower. But because GM owns the complex, they wanted to put their logo on the tallest building, of course.
Excellent, and I'll finish off with a nice look across the river towards Windsor with the sculpture to the Underground Railroad that shows the landing of many of the African slaves that went over to Canada to try to escape slavery. Okay, so anything else in this area?
No, that covers it pretty well, but we love having Canada right across the river from us. Windsor's a nice place for Detroiters to go shop or Detroiters to go get a meal. There's also the Caesars Casino across the way at Windsor, and so Windsor has a lot going for it. It's one of the good things about Detroit is having Windsor right across the river.
There's a great friendship from everything that I'm hearing between Detroiters and Windsorites, or whatever they're called.
It's Windsorites, and actually Windsor is to the south of us too, which is kind of odd. There's this peninsula of Canada that comes down, and it's like the southernmost point in Canada pretty much. So
and it's pretty much the only major city, Detroit is, that actually looks south on a Canadian city.
Exactly.
Very unusual. Well, thanks, Bob. We'll move on now.